30 years ago, I preached on this gospel passage we just heard, and surprisingly, something that I said in that homily came back to me sometime later, and I'll share that in a little while. But what I first preached the very first time, 30 years ago, I was a newly ordained priest. That first summer, I was praying about this text of, what happens when the master's not watching. Now, I don't know about any of you. I'm probably the only one, right? That when the authority figure, mom or dad or teacher, wasn't watching, I might have taken some liberties. The example I used 30 years ago was when I was growing up. On the farm, we had a dirt bike, and it was a tool that we used. My brother Mark and I were sent out to fix fence. Typically what happens to fences during the winter, if there's a big snowfall and the weight of the snow will break some of the wire. And so before we would send cattle out in the spring or summer, we would have to go and we'd have to fix all that and put it back together again. And so we would take the motorcycle out into the pasture and go from broken piece to broken piece. And as soon as we got over the hill so that we knew Dad couldn't see us, we may or may not have had contests to see who could ride a wheelie the longest on that motorcycle. Or we may or may not have gone into the dry creek bed and see how much air we could get coming out the other side of the creek bed. Things like that tend to happen when we feel like the authority isn't watching, right? Well, it's obvious for all of us, I believe, in this passage that we're called to recognize that God is always watching, right? And that's something that we hopefully come to embrace when we become adult in our faith. And it's something that I believe parents hope that their kids will embrace along the way as well. It's like, when I'm not watching, please do the right thing. Make the good decisions, huh? So the way that this came back to me that first summer, the first tragedy that I had to deal with as a newly ordained priest happened on August 31st. So you can see this 19th week in ordinary time, it was that summer. And not too much later, an accident took the life of a 21-year-old man, the only son of these parents. It was a motorcycle accident that took his life. He was not raised on them. He went out and he bought a motorcycle without really his parents knowing, and he didn't have it very long at all, and he had an accident, and it took his life. I remember vividly driving up to their house, parking my car, and just praying that God would give me the words to offer these grieving parents. I had no idea what I was going to say. And I opened the door to they opened a door to me. And this mother who had just lost her only child begins to minister to me by saying, "Oh, Father Dave, it's you. I know you grew up on motorcycles, so this will be more challenging for you." Wow. Wow. How God provides for people is truly amazing. So what we heard in the second reading is that faith is the realization of what is hoped for. and evident of things not seen. I believe her faith took over for her. She believed, right, that her son was in a better place. It was an awful experience for them. But they still had hope of the realization. They had come to realize that their son was going to be in God's arms. That can be challenging for us, especially in the midst of some challenge. It can be hard for us to have that realization that what we hope for is what we need right now, that faith. I was just speaking with one of our parishioners this week that has experienced a tragedy, and just trying to remind that person of what they already knew about faith, right? That it is the realization of what is hoped for and evident of things that are unseen, because this person was not feeling God at this particular time, in the midst of this tragedy that she is experiencing, the loss of a very dear loved one. So I was trying to help her recall when she's had that experience. Right? Those of us that have had a religious experience or have encountered Jesus' deep love for us, that's what we can hold on to. Even when we don't see it, even when it's unseen or unfelt, we can hold on to it when we need it most. And the other beautiful thing is that we are a community of faith. And so when we don't feel it or see it in any particular time, that's when we are called to be the body of Christ and to remind others of God's presence, that hope that is realized, right, when we need it most. We are given these opportunities all the time, aren't we? To be able to represent to others that which we hold on to. We just need to look at a crucifix, and I get to look at it here. Unfortunately, you guys, you got the Sacred Heart of Jesus. That's good. It's good. It's good. But I get to see this way, looking at the crucifix and the scene of the crucifixion in this back window, which is so amazingly powerful, right? That's the reason for our hope. It's the reason for that hope for realization. That Jesus has died for us. God sent his only Son to die for our sake and to open up the gates of heaven for all of us. That's the hope that we long for, that we hold on to. And so we come here to once again remind ourselves, so that when we go forth from here, we can remind each other. That we can be a reminder, that we can help people see and feel when they don't see it or feel it themselves. May Jesus continue to inspire us to share with those around us who are in need of that unabiding presence of Jesus. I shared earlier this week this image of, like, it can be like footprints in the sand. Hang with me, I came up with this myself. It's like two sets of footprints, right? And and then suddenly there's only one set of footprints, and you might think, well, did God abandon me? Huh. Okay, I didn't come up with that on my own, all right? I came up with it when I read this poem called Footprints, okay? But it's, yeah, how true that is. But even when we don't feel God holding us, okay, it is our hope, and it's our belief that God truly does carry us when we need it most. So let's be the arms and the voices and the feet of Jesus, helping remind others of that longed for